Life Beats. Life Beats with Sally Musa. Only on Pulse 95.
Yes, you are the one that I want. Love at first sight. Finding your soulmate. Is it the real deal or is it just a fairy tale? Do people really meet and in moments just simply know that they are meant to be? Some evidence, there are some experts who say that yes, they do. It sounds really romantic. Two strangers who see each other and suddenly they lock eyes across a crowded room and there's this instant attraction. Electric sparks fly everywhere. And then suddenly they found the match that they've been looking for and they're thinking, I have found my wife or my husband, and they never look back. And it sounds great in a world where courtship and finding that one is really difficult. But is it real? So to take us through this process, Dr. Sheetal Kini of Lighthouse Arabia, welcome back.
Thank you for having me. I'm really happy to be here.
Oh, this is a topic that really just kind of gets people talking, doesn't it?
For sure.
You know, the last time you were on, we talked about the key ingredient within a relationship, which if you didn't listen to that, you have to listen back to the podcast. It was amazing. It was fantastic. But today we're going to start from the beginning.
Sure.
Finding your life partner. Now, there are a lot of people, if you speak to those who are, you know, still looking for that partner in life, they will have a list.
Yes.
It usually starts with a list. Sometimes it's a big, long list, and sometimes it's just a, you know, I'm open to possibilities kind of list.
Yes.
So where do we start in this whole process?
So when you think about your partner, absolutely, it is important to visualize what you're looking for. And while that is important, that you have an idea of, you know, what kind of values are important to you. So you value family, you value kindness, you value generosity. So it's important to be connected to your own values in a relationship so you can look for that in a partner, as opposed to she must be this height or he must be in this particular field of work, or you know, she must play a musical instrument, or, you know, I don't know how picky people can get, but I think if your choices or your list is based in the values, that's a really great place to start. However, because value systems can be pretty big, there are many ways in which those values are realized. So if you have a value for kindness or generosity, there's not just one particular kind of person that would fit that criteria. So if you really think about it, your soulmate or your partner of preference, there could be many different lists and many different criteria that could all make you very happy with this person. However, for each of those permutations and combinations of the perfect choices, there's going to be a common denominator, which is your non-negotiables. So as much as it's important to think about what you are looking for, it's also important to be very clear about what you are not willing to negotiate in a relationship.
It's interesting that you talk about that because usually a list starts off with tall, dark and handsome.
Right.
Rich.
Right.
You know,
intelligent,
funny, you know, these are the kind of things that we hear on a list.
Right.
If you ask somebody, it's interesting that you're talking about values here, and
yes.
Which obviously then would cast the net much bigger.
Exactly.
Yeah. So,
exactly.
So, you know, this is the whole idea of, you know, how should we be writing that list? So let's kind of go through the whole idea of values versus, you know, the things that are superficial, that look really great, that are part of the attraction process, and differentiate between those.
Sure. So usually the initial attraction can be quite superficial, but there's a feel-good factor. This person is, you know, making you feel good about yourself because they are flattering you, they're giving you attention, they're meeting on a very basic level the need to be seen. So you see and you are seen, and that kind of creates chemistry. You will never hear someone say, oh, I was looking at this person and sparks flew, but that person never saw me. You know, you might start to have a huge crush on someone, but the sparks flying and the instant connection, it's a two-way street. You need to feel that scene. But after the fact, what really helps you carry yourself through the relationship and grow in the relationship is the value set.
Mm-hmm.
So when you're thinking about your values, I think it can be quite overwhelming to think, what are my values?
Yeah, exactly. Like nobody's actually, I don't know, not many people may have sat down and just gone, oh, so what are my values, and kind of made a list of them. You just kind of do them every day, or hope that you do them every day.
Yes. So whenever your actions are congruent or consistent with your values, you're going to feel happy. Whenever your actions are not, you're going to feel that pinch. You're going to feel that upset. And whenever actually you find yourself getting upset about something, if you flip it over, there's a value attached to it.
So give us an example of these kind of values that are going to shape who we are every day and what we should be looking for in a life partner.
So for instance, something as basic as you go to a restaurant and someone is not very kind to the server, and that suddenly infuriates you. Why does it matter to you so much? It wasn't you that did it. But even when you go on a date and that person is doing that, that's going to strike a chord with you because you value kindness.
Exactly, yeah.
And this person may be doing everything to woo you and, to do right by you. But when you see the way they interact with the other person, you're like, this is not what I'm looking for.
It's interesting because, Meghan Markle,
yes,
when, they're just kind of the couple of the moment, aren't they?
Right.
Prince Harry and Meghan Markle. And, in that infamous interview where they talk about how they fell in love to begin with. And it was very quick. It happened for them very quickly. It was almost love at first sight, right? And so it was on a blind date that she agreed to go meet him. She didn't know who he was or whatever. Yeah. And she just had one question. She was like, well, is he kind? That was her only thing. That was her biggest criteria, her non-negotiable, if you like. Yes. And she said, well, because if he's not kind, then the rest doesn't really matter. There's no point.
Exactly. So for people who actually find that right person for them pretty quickly and those relationships that last, those are the people who are very clear in their values, who know what they want and what they don't want. So when you think about a superficial list of, this, but you haven't really met your value system, I find that in my therapy as well, I'm like, okay, so you're upset about this partner. Let's look at your non-negotiable. And usually that person has all the non-negotiables that were not supposed to be there.
Right. Exactly.
So why did you choose them then?
Yeah. So we're going to come back to that point. And we are also going to be asking the question, is the idea of a soulmate real or is it a fairy tale? This is one you don't want to miss. I really love your definition, Dr. Sheetal. That's coming up next on Life Beats here on Pulse 95.
Life Beats. Life Beats with Sally Musa. Only on Pulse 95.
We are back with Dr. Sheetal Kini talking all things relationships, love, and falling in love. Okay, so, we all know this very infamous scene, don't we?
We live in a cynical world. A cynical world. And we work in a business of tough competitors. I love you. You complete me. And I just had...
Shut up. Just shut up. You had me at hello. You had me at hello.
And that's it. They embrace and off they go into the sunset, the proverbial sunset, right? It's the classic scene from the movies, right? And it just kind of makes you think, is there that one soulmate, that person that completes you?
Right. Well, so soulmate, as we must remember, is spelled Soulmate. Not to be confused with Solemate, which is basically to say that it doesn't mean that you will only have one soulmate. A soulmate is someone that grows your soul, that sort of not completes you, so to speak, in the Jerry Maguire kind of way, but really makes you happy on multiple levels, someone that you want to be a better person for, someone that you care for, someone that in a way teaches you something.
Someone that nourishes you.
Someone that nourishes you and nourishes your soul.
Yeah. That's a soulmate.
That's a soulmate. That's a soulmate. But again, I think I am not too hung up on that terminology, to be very honest, because Dr. John Gottman talks about when you pick your person, you pick your problems. So I'll explain what I mean by that. Whoever you meet, you're choosing them for what you love about them. So the values, right? The ones that you are really resonating with. But then there's going to be some things you don't like about them. There's no one that's going to be perfect. So here I have, A to E of what I like and F to I of what I don't like. The next person on, in another part of my life, or maybe in my life and someone else's life, has something else going on that's really wonderful about them, but they have another set of issues associated with it.
Everybody comes with their baggage.
Exactly. So Dr. Gottman says you are picking which baggage you'd rather be with. And that's when I say you pick your non-negotiables, because even I'm married. Would I say my husband is perfect? No. I love him, right? But I'm the happiest with his set of issues than anyone else's.
It's really true.
Yes.
You have to flip it.
Yes.
This is like, this is an amazing thing, because exactly, you have to realize that every single person that you meet is going to have some kind of set of issues, but you've got to decide which issues you're happiest with.
Exactly. Just like as I hope my husband's happy with me, my set of issues.
It's true. My gosh, this is one of those. So obviously, and that's where values are vital, where they come in, because the values are going to really dictate how they deal with their issues.
Yes.
And how you deal with their issues as well.
Absolutely. Absolutely. So, if you think about the variables that we normally hear on a soulmate list, how often do you hear values of, I guess, acceptance? Values of, for me, a big one is being non-judgmental. So I was very clear about that, and I kind of, then when I give examples to people as well, because I think those are really important. Yeah. So values of self-acceptance or acceptance of others, values around judgment, authenticity. So
support, just being there,
supportiveness
for each other no matter what.
Exactly. Some people value friendliness a lot. Some people value affection and being an affectionate person. If we think about it, what usually tends to make us happy in our relationships with friends, with family, with our parents, what really makes us feel whole, those are the value systems to look out for, because that is what you will need in your relationship with your, so to speak, soulmate as well.
Exactly. And I just love the first point that you made as well, to come back to it and emphasize, it's not just one person that can fit that criteria. It's not a single soulmate. It's whoever kind of, comes to you, and there could be a whole variety of people that nourish your soul and that you could be with, and you often hear that somebody who's been widowed or whatever it is, they still find somebody else later on because they have those values clear, and they're not thinking that there was one person.
Exactly.
As opposed to those who maybe don't move on at all and just think, I've lost the one. Yeah. I've lost the one.
It's either I've lost the one, or I thought you were the one. Never mind. Next. Okay, now you're the one. Never mind. Next. So I think giving up on someone as well, when you think, if you were the one, I wouldn't be having all these issues with you. So clearly, you're not the one.
This is where I want to go to next, because we think that having a soulmate or being the one means it's going to be effortless.
Exactly.
And it's not.
Never.
That's very important. We're going to talk about that next on Life Beats with Dr. Sheetal Kini.
Life Beats with Sally Musa, only on Pulse 95.